Hello, everyone. My name is Big Chris, and this is the Big Chris Show live right now on One Minnesota Radio. So, we're trying something new. We're about to hop right in. So, before I even get started, I want to say shout out to Riverside FM. We are using a new platform once again. We've tried several, and we're going to give Riverside FM a shot. They are not an official sponsor. We're sort of just trying out the software with these folks, and we're going to see how it goes. So before I get started, let me first say that we had a lot of exciting things planned for you today. This was supposed to be our, so I wouldn't really say like the official launch of having guests on the Big Chris Show, but we did have a lot planned. As most of you know, hopefully all of you know, there has been yet another murder by police of a black man in Minnesota. And we're right back to where we were at with, when the murder of George Floyd happened. And this time, unfortunately, it's a 20-year-old young man, and his name was Daunte Wright. He was murdered in Brooklyn Center by Brooklyn Center PD on Sunday, and things have, just been all over the place. So some guests that we had scheduled for today, unfortunately, we had to reschedule with them, which is completely understandable, and we will get them on the show very soon. So let's hop right in. The first thing I wanted to talk about is sort of breaking news. Some of you know, some of you may not know, that Officer Kimberly Potter is expected to be charged tomorrow, and probably with manslaughter. So I'm not sure if they're going to, announce the charges per se. I don't know if they're going to come right out and say, hey, this lady, openly murdered this young man, which we all saw, where she, said, oh shit, I shot him. She claimed it was, an accident, which is completely ridiculous. So, that will be coming tomorrow. I wouldn't say definitely, I'm sure things can change, but as of right now, charges are expected to come tomorrow against former officer Kimberly Porter in the murder of young Mr. Daunte Wright. So, some other disturbing things that I happened to stumble across today. I did actually have a call with the mayor of Brooklyn Center, and One Minnesota is trying to organize, I wouldn't really call it a food drive, a food giveaway. We're definitely trying to work something out to head out there and take care of our communities in need. We will keep everybody updated on that. You can always find information on our website at weareonemn.org. And also, while we're talking about that, let me mention there's lots of great places to donate to. I know there is an official fund for the family, a GoFundMe, so I would start there. If you would like to support the efforts to help the community with food, with home essential needs, you can donate at several places. But I always tell everybody, if you are donating to One Minnesota, there's no middleman. The money that you give us today will be on somebody's dinner plate tomorrow. So please consider giving a donation. You can go to weareonemn.org and you literally just give half a scroll and it's right there. Okay, so something I discovered today is that by the mayor's admission, no Brooklyn Center police officers actually live in Brooklyn Center. And this is an unusual problem that is fairly common, right? So you would assume that the officers that live in patrol and are sort of sworn to keep the community safe would be from the community. Well, former officer Kimberly Porter, I believe it's Champlin that she lives in. I could be wrong on that. I know that her address and everything is now all over the internet. But I believe that she lives in Champlin, like Champlin Park or whatever. So why aren't officers that are patrolling our communities living in the communities they patrol? Growing up in St. Paul, I grew up and was familiar with several officers that were grew up on the same blocks that they lived, and it was definitely more common then. I'm not sure how many officers still live in the community in St. Paul, but for Brooklyn Center, no officers live in the community that they police. Also, one other thing I wanted to mention in the Daunte Wright case, or the Kimberly Porter case, I suppose it would be for the murder of Daunte Wright. So there was this issue of warrants, and people were looking up warrants and they couldn't find the warrants. So I actually called and found out that warrants for pending cases cannot be accessed online usually. They are usually need to be obtained in person from the courthouse. So if you're looking for them or if you're calling, you might not be able to find out about these warrants. I think the whole situation is a little bit fishy, so I'm going to leave that one alone, but this is the information I found out when I called. Also, right now, there is a curfew in place in lots of cities. It's in effect right now, so if you're out traveling, please use caution. And if you're out protesting, do your thing. Just be safe. So that's where we're at. Again, we're right here. I was thinking today I wore my BLM shirt that we made this past year, and a guy looked at me today, and he was driving in his vehicle and I was driving in mine, and he just mouthed the words, "All lives matter." And I know that there's this group of people that have this take that, well, why is it Black Lives Matter? It should be all lives matter, or it should be whatever. And something I was thinking about is, Black Lives Matter for me is not like an organization. It's not a group. I just mean our lives matter. The lives of my children matter. Our Black Lives Matter. And one thing I was thinking about is when these horrific crimes against our Asian brothers and sisters were taking place and the whole Asian hate thing had resurfaced, right? So it was Stop Asian Hate. Black people didn't jump up and say, stop all hate, right? Or nobody else said stop all hate. It just doesn't really make sense. If we were in a situation where white kids were just driving down the street and randomly, pulled over and stopped for no reason and were murdered on a Sunday afternoon for no reason, and to make things worse, murdered on a Sunday afternoon for no reason on accident, maybe it would be different, but it's not. And a really heartbreaking thing that I really wasn't going to mention, I did mention it to a couple of friends, but, Monday, my son works not far from home, and he wasn't really comfortable with going to work. He mentioned that he would either want me to give him a ride, and my son is the same age as Daunte Wright, as the young man that was murdered by Brooklyn Center police. And he said, Dad, I don't really feel comfortable driving to work. So could I call in or could you give me a ride? And, some things have to change. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why this happened. I watched the video like many of you watched it. I don't believe that it was an accident. I don't believe that she accidentally grabbed her taser after being a police officer for 25 years, or her firearm rather, and mistook it for a taser. We've all seen the pictures of what they look like. People are saying that they weigh things different. But the most important thing with that, I think, is that when an officer draws their weapon, they're drawing from whatever hand they are, right? So their strong hand, their right hand, if it's their right hand, then it's on the right side of their body. If they're left hand, it's on the left hand side of their body. So if it's on their right hand, they're going to compress the weapon and pull and draw. And if it's their taser, they're going to reach typically across their body because the handle is actually facing outward. So they're going to reach across their body to draw the weapon. Now, in the case of Muhammad Noor, when he was convicted of the murder of Justine Damond, he shot across his partner. And in the video, even though the video doesn't look like she's actually discharged her firearm at the young man while her partner was in the way, he definitely was getting the hell out of the way when she was pulling her weapon, screaming, taser, I'll tase you. So, I mean, we all know that Officer Noor was convicted, and, former officer, Kimberly Potter should be definitely convicted. So it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. I know that she put in her resignation today. I know that the chief put in his resignation, as, he probably should have. But before that, they should have been fired. And I don't really think that you should be able to put in a resignation if an impending, administrative action is due. It's kind of like you're dodging the bullet. You get to keep your pension. You get, to go and work at another police department and potentially do the same thing. So we'll see how all that plays out. I am carefully watching what's happening in our communities. And we've had lots of calls, we've had lots of emails, we've had lots of, messages and text asking both Janie and I if we're going to do an event, if we're going to be doing a protest. And as we mentioned before, if One Minnesota is involved in any type of action in the community, we need there to be a direct benefit to our community, as in one that you can physically reach out and touch. So there's folks that do a lot better job of organizing protests and rallies than us. We will definitely do them. But I wouldn't say, necessarily for this. But as I mentioned earlier, I have spoken to the mayor of Brooklyn Center. We're trying to put something together right now. And our event, or our rally that we will do, while we may have speakers, is primarily to take care of the community, to bring food out to the community, to bring household needs and medicine and hygiene products and diapers and formula and things like that directly out to the community. So that's the short answer for that. I'm not sure. Things are still developing. It's pretty early for us. We just started working on this very early this morning. So we will keep everybody updated. As I mentioned before, there's lots of great places you can donate if you'd like to help. If you want to help the family, there is an official GoFundMe for the family available. I would definitely do that. It's pretty easy to see which one is real and which one isn't. I believe there was 2 of them on Facebook. One had just a few $1,000s, and the one for the family, the actual one last time I checked, was I think like around 160 or 170,000. So you definitely can donate there. If you'd like to make a direct donation, you can donate to One Minnesota. You can go to weareonemn.org and donate, and we are, not a big box agency. That we're a small group, which is great because we can control the costs and we can stretch those dollars. So anything that you give today will end up on somebody's dinner plate tomorrow. So this was our first time going live on Facebook. I'm not really sure how it's gonna, end up. I hope it was great. I hope people tuned in. I hope people enjoyed themselves. My name is Big Chris. This is the Big Chris Show. And once again, I'd like to say shout out to Riverside FM. We are not under a contract with them. We are not being endorsed by them. We're simply just trying out the software. And I mean, if the folks at Riverside FM do want to sponsor One Minnesota Radio or the Big Chris Show, please do. We would appreciate your donation, kind sirs and ma'am. Anyway, folks, that's my time for today. Be safe. Stay positive. I know it's hard right now. It's hard for me too. But we just, we're stronger together. We're better together. And we're One Minnesota. Peace, everybody. I'll see you next time.